Bangor, there's 10,000 customers in Bangor that have power. Cost potentially that and you should help us down this ordinance. Bangor, there's 10,000 customers in Bangor that have power. Cost potentially that just a UPS I think it was
Thank you everybody for being here today. We're going to get started as soon as possible. We have a full house and a lot to cover, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our president, Dr. John Short.
I want to thank the Board of Visitors for sponsoring the Board of Visitors Business Breakfast, which we do regularly, and I certainly want to thank all of you. UMFK is the community, everything about us, from community policing to our sports centers, our Red Cross Evacuation Center, to the uses of Fox Auditorium, to the idea of going to school all along Pleasant Street, from elementary school to high school to college. We're very, very, very appreciative of all of your support. We depend on it, we appreciate that you're advocates, and we're so glad that you're here today. So thank you again, and Sodexo will be choosing by table to take you out to have your breakfast food, and then after we eat, we'll introduce and talk about the business breakfast a little more, and introduce our guest speaker for today. But thank you very much for being here, and for your support.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on behalf of Sodexo UMFK. We will be calling tables. My name is Mike. I'll be waiting in the room along with our executive chef, Corey Burgoyne. Feel free to ask for anything. We try to make everything self-sustaining with the coffee and the water. If you need anything, let me know. I'm here for you. Fair enough. We'll start with this table, please. Two-sided buffet, folks. Yeah, don't feel free.
Thank you everyone for coming. It's a great crowd today. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Page. He's the first ever Maine-born Chancellor of the University of Maine System, and more importantly, a proud graduate of UMFK. Under his leadership, the university system has achieved $82 million in savings, expanded early college to nearly 3,000 Maine high school students each year, and advanced affordable access to public higher education and the opportunities it provides, including making a record $86 million in financial aid available to students who need it the most this year. Of the most relevance to today's presentation, Chancellor Page helped secure the support of Governor LePage and nearly every Maine legislator, including all of Aroostook County's representatives in Augusta. Go to the Maine voters this November 4th for the historic $49 million investment in the university, which is now known as Question 4. Prior to becoming the Chancellor, Dr. Page was the CEO of James W. Sewell Company, a nationwide consulting organization founded in 1880 and headquartered in Old Town, Maine, specializing in forestry, natural resources, civil, and spatial engineering. So without further ado, Dr. Page.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm told I have to use the mic for the folks who are recording, otherwise I don't like mics and I'd be out here. So if I drift away from it, I'm sorry, and apologies in advance. I want to thank, first of all, President Short and the staff here for putting on this great breakfast, the Board of Visitors for the incredible work you do throughout the year and for making sure today happens. I also want to introduce Kelly Martin, who I'm sure needs no introduction, but is one of my bosses, who is here as well as a member of the Board of Trustees. The other member of the Board of Trustees, probably well known to most of you, Norm Fournier, called me a couple of day before yesterday and apologized that he wasn't going to be able to be here today. Oh, Norm, what's this? Well, I'm bird hunting. On the drive-in today, I was watching everything whip by me with the wind, and I thought, good luck to him. What I really want to spend time today talking about is the bond and the opportunity it represents, and more than the bond itself, although that's the key piece, what that represents for all of rural Maine, but Aroostook County and the St. John Valley in particular, because it's part of a larger whole, but it's an essential part of the larger whole. So in about 2 or 3 weeks, when you go to vote, you'll see a series of bond questions. We are question 4. We're actually the 3rd bond question, but we're the 4th question on the ballot. The first one is the home care referendum question. And in it, you'll be asked, do you approve $49 million for the University of Maine System for improvements, for workforce-based improvements to infrastructure and facilities, to be matched by an additional $49 million that we will secure in the university from public and private, other private and public sources. My sincere hope is that you will vote yes on that. What does it mean? It means millions of dollars in critical infrastructure, expansions, rehabilitation, improvements, and how we have organized this to work on this campus or on every campus is that this will put needed capacity and first-class facilities for workforce training and development. And a lead piece of this is our expansion in nursing, where Fort Kent has led the way, not just regionally, but on a statewide basis, but other areas as well. So the challenge is well, this sounds good. Who could be against this? My concern is that we have no organized opposition, but there are $200 million worth of asks on the ballot between the 4 bond issues. Clean water, transportation, the university system, and the community college system. All of them are worthy investments. But we know Maine people are very frugal. $200 million is a lot of money, cut any way you want. And my concern is that people go and say, well, you know, I mean, being against transportation and clean water is like being opposed to mother and apple pie. So those things usually pass with not much difficulty. Higher education, especially a bond, the largest one in our history, $49 million, is an easy one to sort of not think hard about and say, well, we're spending enough money. And I think that would be a terrible and tragic mistake, not just for our universities, but for the people who rely on us for training, career opportunities, not just as they come out of high school, but as they retrain throughout their careers, as we know is happening more and more. Right now, I'm going to cite a couple of numbers that I think are probably increasingly well known. Right now there's over 600 openings across the state for nurses. The Nursing Association tells us that by the year 2025, that's going to be over 3,000 openings in the oldest state in the nation. And the reason for that is very straightforward. There's 2 reasons. One is we don't have a lot of young people coming through. The second is we have an enormous number of retirements coming. People my age, people of some of your ages and the others, the baby boomers, etc. They're retiring across the country at a rate of 10,000 a day. And we're getting our share of it here. So we need to provide, and most of you are business people, you know what it is to find and retain skilled workers, especially in a rural area like northern Maine, where that challenge is becoming more pronounced. And this bond is designed specifically to increase our throughput, to make sure we sustain the quality, but to increase our throughput. So if we're successful in this bond and with the associated plans with it, we will be increasing the number of nurses by hundreds that will be graduating every year. We'll be increasing the number of engineers, of surveyors, of computer scientists, of teachers, you name it. I'm looking for a field that doesn't have one of these one of these shortages looming. And I've yet to find one anywhere in the state. So it's an enormous challenge for us. This is a workforce development bond that is central to the well-being of our businesses, central to the well-being of our communities. I'm not sure exactly how much time we'll have at the end, but if we have some time for some questions today, Q&A, I'd be happy to do that. One of the things is in terms of getting the word out. We have, I think at all your tables, and certainly coming in, you'll see this brochure. I'm going to show you in a few minutes a 30-second advertisement that will start running on local TV stations, I think, today. We have been relying, however, this is an election that is going to be, setting aside all of the actual people who are running for office and will be elected, on the bonds. This is going to be election decided on turnout and on people having thought about what this means. And so if I could ask you for something today, I would ask you to take these, study them, and more importantly, talk to your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members, and get them to think about this and to realize what the importance is. So it's just not a knee-jerk or reflexive reaction when you get into the ballot booth. And ask them to talk with their friends and neighbors, because that's how we're going to win this. That's how we're going to win this. We've raised a significant amount of money to help with this. We don't use taxpayer funds. We don't use student fees. We don't use tuition dollars to help get the word out. That's not the right way to do this. So we raise private funds. Some of you in this room have contributed to that. Thank you very much. In a very short period of time, we raised over $300,000. That's a lot of money. We've got a lot of these available, so feel free to take handfuls of them and keep the paper industry moving. There are, in terms of TV ads, social media, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be doing on social and digital media. But you're not going to see a lot on TV, and one of the reasons for that, and if you're in Portland, if you were in Portland, you'd see nothing. Because we can only afford to run ads in the Bangor market and the Presque Isle market, which includes here. We're told by our media consultants that in this election cycle, there will be $30 million spent in the state of Maine on TV ads alone. They were priced out. What the outside, the groups from away are paying and are prepared to pay for television marketing in the major parts of the state make it impossible for us to get our word out. Literally, we cannot afford one ad in the greater Portland area. So this is word of mouth, but that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it. But it requires all of us to really engage, again, to repeat myself, with our coworkers, our family members, our neighbors, draw their attention to what this means, and then push on from there. I want to say a couple of things, though, that this is what I hope to be, in 2 or 3 weeks, a successful vote to be the first stage of a major investment into the University of Maine at Fort Kent, and therefore into the Valley and into Aroostook County. We are going to the next legislative session, hopefully with a win behind us, showing that the people of Maine support public higher education as exemplified through the bond. And in doing so, we're planning right now on asking the legislature and the next governor to approve a 3% increase of each of the 2 years in the biennial on our operations. 3%, we believe, it's a modest number, but it's an appropriate number. About 70% of our expenses are people, and we know that the rate of inflation, cost of living, et cetera, is at about 2.5%, give or take a little bit. So there's 2.5% to keep us even, so we don't lose ground, and about 0.5% for some special investments that we need to make, often in early college, on those areas. But the important thing is that we have amongst the reforms we've put in place and the savings we've made, we've completely redesigned the allocation formula for new money that comes from the legislature and goes to the campus. And it's a very dynamic model. It changes every 2 years as numbers change and other things happen. But it's set up right now that for every dollar that comes, a new dollar that the legislature sees fit to give us in new money, 23 cents, 23% will come to the University of Maine at Fort Kent. That's an historical allocation. And that's not one-time money. So on the 3%, that turns out to be roughly $750,000 a year for each of 2 years, added to the base money. So that sets the new floor for the university going forward. Now that 23%, because Fort Kent will then get a larger allocation coming out of that, they recalculate, that 23% will go down in subsequent years, but that means that between the bond, the $1.75 million or so coming in from the bond, the $1.5 million if the legislature sees fit to meet our request that will come in every 2 years from then on, together with a large number of very exciting partnerships, including one with an out-of-state company to help market our nursing program on a national basis that John and others are putting into play. This is Fort Kent's time. This is the University of Fort Kent's time to invest and to grow and to serve the Valley region better, to serve Aroostook County better, to serve Maine better. And I don't think, and you may think I'm standing here trying to sell you a bill of goods, but I go back a long ways here. I was class of '75. And this is the best opportunity that the university has had to invest and to grow sensibly, smartly, in engagement with the community that it's had in the last 40 years. So this, I really am asking you to look carefully at how this all fits together and to really get out and work with your friends and neighbors and colleagues to get the vote out. I know we will prevail with a good majority here in the Valley, but I need that number very high because there are other parts of the state where we're not going to get this kind of support. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm not sure who has, how to, there's about a, right back on, oh, it's right there too. Never mind. Go ahead.
Voting yes on 4 will put more graduates to work in Maine, where we have jobs for 3,200 new nurses.
In the next decade, we'll need more than 2,000 new engineers.
Maine employers have thousands of job openings. For companies like ours to grow, we need to hire more graduates with 4-year degrees.
Question 4 is investment in the University of Maine System that will educate more nurses to care for our families.
Teach student skills for in-demand jobs.
And create opportunity for Mainers to get good jobs right here at home.
Vote yes on 4.
That's it. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to go into rotation and where. It involves, I'm supposed to use the mic. It involves students and others from across the state, and I think the message is exactly that. This is about how do we have a workforce environment where our young people and our people who are looking to increase their skills or retrain in mid-career, make sure they have opportunities here in Maine, especially in the rural areas, stay and build their careers, build their businesses here. That's what this is about. So with that, I'm wondering if I'm forgetting anything, John, that I should be adding to that piece?
That's it.
And do I have a few minutes if there's questions?
We usually go till about 8:30, so you got plenty.
Oh, got plenty of time. I could talk forever.
Chancellor, that's really exciting news about the formula change. I heard you say the word new a couple times in that presentation. Does that mean the base allocation is still the old formula?
Yeah, the base allocation, there are some moves that are made in that. But yeah, we're not starting, it's not a zero-sum recalibration. So we've made changes in that using some different mid-course adjustments over the last 3 or 4 years. So Fort Kent has gotten some, but this is the place where that trend line, which had been going up a little bit, really starts to go like this. I should have planted some questions. Marty.
Chancellor, how does this, the consolidation, if you will, collaboration, how does this fit in with accreditation with the New England Association of Schools and Colleges?
Yeah. Well, relative to Fort Kent and Presque Isle, one of the things that I'm really pleased about is the degree to which, and in my day here, frankly, this would have been impossible. I mean, the idea that people from Presque Isle or Caribou and people from the valley are collaborating and cooperating this way. That's it. This is change. And it's a change for the better. What this has meant is that, for example, we know, I mean, the nursing shortage, just to use that as an example, is everywhere in the state. And it was particularly hitting hard in central and southern Aroostook County because the program is up here, of course. And there are people, a lot of people who are interested and certainly have the skills and drive to be nurses, who also, however, their lives were in a place where they could not up and move themselves or move themselves and their families to Fort Kent for the years that it would take to do the training. So exporting the Fort Kent nursing program to where it is now this fall, training students in Presque Isle in situ, but it's the Fort Kent program with a Fort Kent degree, but training people in Presque Isle, and ultimately I think will be in Polton as well, is the plan, is part of that expansion. So these collaborations start in that way. There's some administrative positions that are being shared between the two campuses, and President Short and President Rice are keeping very close tab on that to make sure that this is working well for both institutions. I think there's going to be more opportunities to do that. I know that English right now is talking about collaborating between the two programs. I think businesses and et cetera, and those will take time and they will develop. The challenge, the question was really around do the accreditors, in this instance, what's called NECHI, which is our New England accreditors, are they okay with this? And they're watching it very carefully because what they want to be able to do is say, who has responsibility? If something is not quite right, who do we talk to? How do we have accountability? And so that's the major piece they're tracking. And some of the answer is, well, look, you have two institutions, they're both accredited by you, they're working together. But if you really have a problem, come see me, because both John and Ray Rice, report to me, and I probably can make something happen. That's a little bit flippant. There are concerns about how that really plays out in terms of formal processes and review. We're working with Barbara Brittingham, who is the president of the commission which governs accreditation, has been to Fort Kent 3 times with me in the last 2 or 3 years. And very much enjoys coming here. I've yet to get here for the sled dog races. That's my next goal. And so she was here as recently as about 2 months ago and asked some tough questions around some of those issues. But what I'm happy to say is that her commitment is to make sure that Fort Kent and all our institutions, but being here, Fort Kent and Presque Isle, are viable, strong institutions. So it's not a contentious relationship with them. That's a little bit in the weeds, sorry.
Do you have any details on what the 1.3 million you said?
Yeah, it's about 1.75 million.
But for here, it's about almost 3 million here.
Oh, almost 3 million.
Yeah.
I should have had. They should be given this.
Kind of short my head.
Yeah, my apologies. My goodness, I can't. Because I was focusing on. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter what I'm focusing on. Obviously, I got it wrong. The major element is the. And John, you should really come up and speak to this because you know a lot more of the details. But the construction of a new small center right out on Pleasant Street that would combine admissions, student welcoming, a sort of one-shop-fits-all for new students and incoming students, and it would also take down a couple of buildings. Right. Why don't you give a little bit more detail on this?
The University of Maine System asked every campus to do a 10-year master plan, and when we did the master plan, one of the things that came out again and again, in fact the cornerstone of the master plan is this building. What they did is they looked at a number of buildings that we use for offices that really never were supposed to be used for offices. They were former houses. A number of them have gone into disrepair. They're very difficult and expensive to heat and cool. And what they said is you really need to consolidate those offices. What we will do is we will build a building next to the old model school on Pleasant Street. It's designed to be an iconic building. I'm surprised the number of people who come to Fort Kent and they'll say, I drove up and down Pleasant Street, but it took me a while to really see where the University of Maine at Fort Kent is. Many people don't know there's another side back with the sports center and the soccer fields and the lodge. So what this building will do, it will be an iconic building saying, this is UMFK. You've arrived at UMFK. Do you want some information? This is the building to go. It will be an advancement and enrollment center. This will be a center for anyone, prospective students, their parents, individuals who are interested in donating some funds. I had some conversations this morning with someone here talking about some critical scholarships that we've been able to get over the past few years. And so this building will allow us to tear down some buildings on the other side of Pleasant Street, the Sear House, St. David House, which is the admissions house, and on this side, Madawaska House. And so we expect to have green space where students will be able to study, benches, throw a frisbee, a soccer ball, but it will open up that side of campus and really unite both sides. But the important thing is that you'll have the synergy of admissions, marketing and communication, and the advancement and development office right in one building. It will save us money in terms of heating and cooling and upkeep. It will show to prospective visitors and others the investment right there on Pleasant Street. It will open up both sides of the campus, and it's really a key aspect of recruiting more students, retaining more students. One of the things that's very clear is that many people will say, oh gee, it's so far to Fort Kent. What we find is if we can get prospective students to come to Fort Kent, they want to stay here. They see that we have a diverse student body, students from 25 different countries, students from other states, students who come here because they couldn't get into a nursing program because they've heard about our programs for various reasons. We want to tell those students, stay in Maine, take a job here, have a family here, join us in a great place where the cost of living is lower, where you have unparalleled natural beauty, outdoor recreation, very safe and warm and supportive community. We hope that that building will help us to recruit more students, retain more students, to graduate the students in the professions of nursing, forestry, law enforcement, behavioral sciences, all the programs that we have. So we're very excited about that.
Aside from that, in the cost on that building.
We'll have about $3 million, and we'll need to find some additional funds to make up the difference.
Right. Other questions? Well, I want to thank you all again. I don't know if there's seconds out there. There's a lot of food. I guess there might be. Thank you so much again. Enjoy the remainder of your breakfast. Go for seconds, and I'll be around, and John and others will be around if there's any questions you have or suggestions you have specifically. Please.
We also have yard signs. If you live in an area of high traffic, if you're willing to put some of these signs up for us, we have some of these signs with the metal postings that you can use to help us get the visibility. So as you drive around town, you'll see signs for lots of different candidates. So we hope that you'll help us put these in high traffic areas to show the momentum and your support for this question.
And take as many of these as you would like. We've got boxes and boxes. That we can afford. Thank you.
You should help us down this morning. Bangor, there's 10,000 customers in Bangor that have power. It's possible potentially that